Welcome, everyone. Today is our competency. Sorry about that. Today is our competency, our test on the 1960s. We're going to do a quick review. If you want to get out your notes folder, all the stuff you have, I'll hand some stuff back and just go through what you got as I go through the main topics we've talked about. So we started talking about the Cold War in the 60s, where we started. This fight between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, who was the biggest, most powerful country in the world. They didn't want to fight each other directly. So we talked about the Berlin Wall, right, how the city of Berlin got cut in half, and there was a wall put around the free side, America's ally side, and how people were trying to escape, and how it became this symbol of the Cold War, of the hate and the oppression that people in the East felt and people under communism felt. Talked about Cuba a lot, the Bay of Pigs invasion, which was a failed attempt to overthrow the communist country in Cuba, the missile crisis when the Soviet Union tried to send nukes to Cuba, and how the U.S. put an embargo on Cuba. And we talked about the space race being another symbol of the Cold War. These two countries racing to be the first to the moon, having the most advanced technology, all that stuff, and how the U.S. won right at the end, 1969, and landed a few men on the moon. Then we spent a week talking about Vietnam. We talked about the causes of the war, that America didn't want communism to spread even to small, less known countries like Vietnam or Korea, that America was trying to support their ally in South Vietnam. And last was the Gulf of Tonkin attack, when a U.S. ship had missiles launched at it, potentially from North Vietnam. Only later we found out that that was probably either never happened or was an exaggeration or something, or was a lie, that really wasn't a direct attack. We talked about the impact on soldiers, how this was a very difficult war to fight. There was no clear objective. There's no clear way to win the war. And as a result, the soldiers felt sort of lost, and they were fighting against tactics they didn't really understand. And back at home, the people weren't supporting the troops. They were protesting the war. They saw it as an unwinnable war. They saw it as a waste of resources, that it was America just using its power to push around other countries. And ultimately, too many people were dying. It wasn't worth it. So people were protesting against that. And then when they came back, veterans weren't mistreated, not welcomed home as heroes, and that led to a lot of PTSD for those soldiers. We also talked about civil rights happening during the 1960s, a big push for nonviolent resistance, sort of peaceful protest, like the Birmingham youth protest, with the students marching down the street and the police, fire department attacking them. March on Washington, that was where the I Have a Dream speech happened. And then the Selma March, where the police attacked the protesters. And we talked about a different approach to civil rights, a Black Power movement with Malcolm X. We talked about Chicano civil rights, the West High School blowouts. And we talked about civil rights movement for all, different groups of people fighting for civil rights, including like Asian Americans, gay Americans, Native Americans, women, all these different groups of people who are going to be pushing for more equality. So for on your test, it is open note, so anything you have you can use on paper. You get to choose your question that you want to answer. All the questions are based on different levels. So there's level 2, where you need to explain to me, teach me, using examples. This should be a couple sentences. Analyze with an answer, reason, evidence analysis. This should be several sentences. And then a level 4 response with the full writing guide. You'll have the rest of the period to work. Let me know if you need some help.